All right, you guys, welcome. So, welcome today again back. We are back for more fun, right? I guess. Oops, we don't mean to do that. So, anyways, today we're going to do a little something on, well, these guys they call as the sovereigns, and they label them as sovereigns. So, we're going to straighten some of that record out because, well, again, you can't be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time. So, what I did today is I'm looking at so this is what it's called. It's called the let me show it here. I'm going to display this banner and I'm going to show it up here. So there's the banner. Okay, so this is actually from a Colorado lawyer. So I'm kind of plugging this guy at the same time, but I want to let you guys know this is about an attorney who is saying he's debunking certain beliefs. And he's right. He is debunking certain beliefs. And I want to give him much respect because he's doing a job. But what I do want to be clear on is exactly what the misinterpretations are and where the confusion comes in. Okay, like what things are not accurate or what things are maybe a little bit misleading that shouldn't be a little bit misleading. They should be more, well, transparent, right? Full disclosure is what we're looking for here today. So with full disclosure being said, let's go ahead and share this with you guys. And we'll start from the beginning. This guy's a pretty respectful looking guy. I mean, I would say hi to him and, I don't know. I don't have any problems with any of these people. They are doing a job. I want you guys to look here. Like I went to, I don't know where I went today, but I got something on my hand and it went on my shirt and I was like, dang it, I got to change that. And I forgot. So here I am. You guys get me dirty shirt and all. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off of here. I did give you guys the location. This guy is, the title of the YouTube video is called Sovereign Citizen Criminal Defense. Does it ever work? Okay. He's answering questions about whether it works or not when people are claiming to be sovereign citizens. And by the way, I think his background is really, really nice. Let me show you guys this. So share the screen. I'm going to also share the sound with you guys. And here we go. So let's go ahead and meet this dude.
Sovereign citizens are those who disclaim any authority by the government over them based on their own purported personal sovereignty.
Okay, so first of all, let's go back and fix one thing first. Sovereign citizens are a label. It's a title. It's like a non-custodial parent, okay, or like a tenant. Okay, it's a title. It's an agency relationship that someone has. Okay, so let's keep going. So let's keep this all honest. We're going to keep it equitable, but let's keep it honest here.
The sovereign authority that they're talking about is the authority that governments have to make.
Okay, hold on. He just said this, the sovereign authority they're talking about is a sovereign authority that governments have. No. I'm pretty sure that's not what he was talking about. That's what he is talking about. He's saying the sovereign authority that exists is the sovereign authority of the government. Okay, and that is the message that people want to believe. Sovereignty comes from the people, okay, first, and then to the government. So let's keep things honest.
And enforce laws for their citizenry. The belief that this authority does.
Citizenry is another membership. So when you guys go and join the Latter-day Saints, you're becoming a member to be in their group. When you join the Mennonites, you're becoming a part of a group, a member. When you join a gym, you're going to work out with other people that work out at the same place and have like the same things that gym offers. It's a membership. Let's be clear.
Does not apply to them leads to frequent encounters between sovereign citizens and the criminal justice system.
Okay, sovereign citizens in the criminal justice system. Yeah, he does have that part right. But what he doesn't have right is the amalgamation between the two, between someone who's private and someone who is well, his label is a sovereign citizen. Sovereign citizens are just a name that's given to people that make things confusing because they don't understand certain things that are going on. And that's you and I, guys. That literally comes to you and I. And when we go into these places where this man works, he only works with people who are debtors. He only works with people who have debt or who have agreed to take on debt. And so, like, I don't have anything bad against him. I mean, he has his way and his place in this world, and that's his place. And he found what he does or whatever. And everything has to be balanced. Like, there's a black, there's a white, there's a up, there's a down, there's a, in, there's an out. It's just all the same. It's all opposite polarities. So what's happening is he has been trained in a specific field that is legalese. It is in a fictional world where things are created. And it would not be good business for anyone to go and say that, you shouldn't be a part of that because, well, membership. I mean, think about it. If a gym loses all its members because the members don't believe the gym has good beliefs or does good things, then people leave places like that or leave memberships or groups because of that, because they don't believe in something. It's the same principle that's applicable here, and that's the same thing that you're doing, the same thing when we go into these hearings like this. So let's keep going on his stuff. This isn't very long, but I'm going to go ahead and cover all of it.
System. During the criminal justice process, from traffic stops through jury trials.
Okay, criminal justice system, traffic stops to criminal trials are U.S. citizens, okay? They're U.S. citizens. Every bit of that he just said. Every bit of that are all U.S. citizens. So the category of the U.S. citizens, if that's wrong, if you're not a U.S. citizen, and I mean that by, like, that's a membership, guys. So he's talking about people that are members need to follow the membership rules. That's what it is. And I'm not telling any of you to not be members because some people are really better off in that membership because it does things for them. It helps them do things. And what I tell you is, well, know yourself, learn who you are, and then no one's going to be able to tell you what is best for you. So this man, what he does is he works, and again, this is not anything disrespectful. I mean, nothing disrespectful to this man, okay? He does what he does. I'm just saying that he teaches along his legal lines, and that is applicable to what he does because that's his business. If you guys are in and members of that business, then you need to follow those rules. Okay, that's simple as that.
Sovereigns argue this ideology is a defense against their prosecution for the crimes they're accused
so a
of.
sovereign can't be prosecuted. First of all, he said sovereigns and then sovereign citizens. Now he's using two different contexts of words, and they're commingled. So he just made it confusing, but that's what attorneys do. They twist and turn things, right? So he's saying that sovereigns, okay, now he's classified all sovereigns. Sovereign is a title. It's a title of the person at the top. It's not a label of a group of people, okay? It is a title of the person at the top. It's like king. It's like he's saying, like, okay, all the kings. No, you can't say that. It's each individual, and no one can govern another man without a man's consent. You guys can go look that up. No man can be governed without his consent. And so when you guys are saying governmental, okay, well, you're letting them govern your mind because you're giving consent for that. Governmental. I mean, it's the word. Look at the word. I didn't spell the word. I'm just telling you. Governmental, like revenue is, well, what you consider money, right? Department of Revenue. You ever thought of that? So think about words. They're important.
Committing and against the jurisdiction of the courts to preside over their cases at all.
Okay, so the courts are private corporations. So the jurisdiction over the courts to preside over cases is on a private basis. So again, if you become a member of that private organization, then now you are bound by that, and now you have private rules that you follow and not the regular rules.
Now, there is no universal dogma or manifesto defining the sovereign citizen ideology.
I love his play with words right there, because he used dogma, which is Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, and manifesto as if it's some futuristic thing. Okay, like as if it's some settler's intent to create some amazing thing about sovereign citizen ideologies, and it's just, I find it entertaining the way that he presented that. So let's keep going here.
Its adherents belong to different groups and subgroups that have varying beliefs about.
Okay, did you see that? Look at his words right there. It's adherents. Adherents are things that bind other things together. It's like glues. Adhesives are adherents, okay? So these belong to different groups and subgroups that have different beliefs, is what he's trying to say.
About why the laws don't apply to them.
Okay.
And they rely on different legal.
And he's trying to say, okay, so these are the groups that don't, here's the normal people up here, and then you got all these weirdo groups down here that are sovereign citizens. That's what he's painting a picture to someone just listening, or you don't even have to be listening to this or watching this. You could just be in the background, just da-da-da-da-da, and you're getting the message that sovereign citizens are people that you don't want to be affiliated with, okay? Which some of them, man, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to be affiliated with them either. Some of them come across and they're just really kind of loopy, kind of crazy, cuckoo, but that's okay. I mean, Cocoa Puffs were a staple when I was little, when I was growing up, except what was it? And I love this comedian that talked about it. He said that, what did he say? That Captain Crunch. Anybody ever eaten Captain Crunch? Like, you guys ever had Captain Crunch? It will literally, and I've done this, like when he said this, I laughed so hard. He said, Captain Crunch will peel the roof off of your mouth. It'll, you chew so much of it, and your mouth starts to get like raw. And as a kid, I can remember that happening. So that was Captain Crunch. Yeah, that was crazy.
And historical documents and events as justification for those views.
Okay, so historical documents and events are justifications for the views, but isn't that called precedents? So what he did was took another thing and he's like, oh, well, we have precedents that we do, and yeah, those are precedents, those are legit. But then we have sovereign citizens over here that have events and justifications that they use. See, we use precedents, but they use events and justifications, or events as justifications on views. It's the same thing, guys. Like, you're doing this, and then you're villainizing somebody using events, which is the same thing over here. Like, isn't a case being decided on? That's an event. This case just got decided on, and here's the result. So they're going back further before these laws were warped, and they're going back and finding these other cases where it says, no, they can't do this stuff over here that they're doing now. And that's what he's talking about. So he's discounting something that is absolutely legitimate, but it's not legitimate in their private courts. See, he's right. It's not legit in their courts because their courts only see back to 1938. Okay, and you'll learn more about this, but keep watching this.
However, there are some common themes that come up again and again in cases involving sovereign citizens. And so in this video, I'm going to walk through a few of the most commonly held sovereign citizen beliefs.
Okay, so he's going to give the arguments that sovereign citizens make. Okay, so let's watch.
Arguments that they make in support of those beliefs and the problems with those arguments. At the end, I'll talk about the consequences of making those arguments.
Okay, so he's going to talk about the problems and the consequences, and I'm going to talk about the problems with his problems and the problems with his consequences. Okay, so we're going to critique what he did, and I'm going to do it respectfully. Like I said, this guy, I don't know this guy, and I'm giving you the side that's private.
Arguments in court. So what are these beliefs? Well, let's start with the belief that you don't need a license to drive an automobile.
Okay, hold on. Let's time out. Let's go back and do something really quick. So we need to define the word you. You is defined as a person or entity in the Internal Revenue Manual. So you go look up the word you, and they're not talking about, hey, John. When someone says you, it becomes a part of our conversation at home, and that's very familiar among each other. And that's okay. We should be like that. But here's the problem with it. We become familiar with it at home, and then we go out and we talk to like fork-tongued devils who are turning things. They're like twisting words, and they say, do you understand something? And they're asking you, are you subordinate to their law? Are you believing under what they believe in? Or do you have your own Well, do you have your own status? Let's just say that. I mean, do you have your own status is what they're asking. You know, when they say, do you have an identification? They want to know if you know who you are. Like, people are asking that, okay? So the belief that you don't need a license to drive an automobile, that is a really, really slippery slope, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, a license is permission to do something that would otherwise be considered illegal, okay? So what they've done is they've created a rule that said that something was illegal if you did this thing over here, but otherwise it's lawful to do, right? I mean, it's not unlawful to walk across a street in the middle of the desert that there's no cars on. But if you take that same law and you move it into a city where it says that you can get a fine for crossing a street, then someone's going to, that's what they're doing. They're giving you notice that this is what our private rule is, or our rule is here. And if you don't give them information on who you really are, if you don't know that, you don't give them anything. You just go and apply for their stuff and accept it and take the benefits that they give you. But if you know, you're doing other things to change that and make that different. So let's keep moving.
On public highways or streets.
Okay, public highways and streets. Yes, he's right. He's absolutely right. You know, you have on this same street right here. Okay, let's take where this big van right here is. All right, you guys see this van in the screen right here? This big white van. All right, that van is on this concrete right here. All right, that concrete has two separate locations. One location is the United States Corporation, which is the state of whatever that's located in. So this van is located in the state of whatever. It's also located in the state, whatever state. So if it's the state of Michigan, it would be Michigan State. So there's two locations on that exact same van. One is a military jurisdiction and one is a private jurisdiction. And depending on what you choose is how you're treated, okay? So that's part of why he's saying this, because he's right. They're right. These guys are not wrong. They would not keep doing something that was wrong. Now, I wouldn't say don't judge this, because I'm not talking about whether this is moral or ethical or anything like that. I mean, in their definitions of what they're doing, you know, maybe they justify it and say, you know, we're saving bad people from doing things, and, you know, but like, I'm just going to say, people, from my own personal experience, I didn't harm anyone ever, and I did a lot of stuff that I had to pay for a lot of things that I didn't feel were justified under the circumstances. They were exacerbated quite a bit, and it doesn't take away any of my accountability. I'm not saying that I wasn't wrong for what I did. Let me be clear again. I was wrong for my actions, okay? But it's also one of those things where if you cannot decide or determine what's between like proper behavior and what isn't, then you can't make right decisions. And I will tell you this, that I see people every day that don't understand the monetary system. They don't understand the money system. They don't understand how they can go and get further indebted for something. It's because it wasn't explained. It's because it wasn't taught to them. It's because there's no money. Nobody told them there was no money. Nobody told them this was all accounting and that you had to be an expert when you sign stuff. No one tells you that. So when we have full disclosure, then we can start saying, okay, yeah, you know what? You should probably be admonished more for what you did. But when people don't hurt another person, then there's no, everything is considered commercial. And if you want to go cite that, look at Title 27, Code of Federal Regulations 72.11. All crimes are commercial. They are in commerce. In other words, they're creating a promissory note, a bond, to pay something in the future. It is not gold and silver, because they can't deal with gold and silver.
So sovereign citizens argue that they don't need a license to drive on public roads because they have a fundamental right to interstate travel. And that actually is true. The United States has decided in Supreme Court cases that its citizens do have a fundamental right to interstate travel. And that comes from a 1966 United States Supreme Court case called U.S. versus guest. Now, what the word interstate travel
So,
means
Let's
is
stop here. So, okay, so he's using a corporate citation. And because it's from 1966, look at that. It's a United States citation, and that is a copyrighted citation. It's a member of that, like that corporation owns that case number with that information in it because it applies to its members. Okay, so let's keep going.
travel between states. So
Okay.
Georgia,
Again, states, travel between states. When you travel between state of Colorado and state of New Mexico, you are in interstate travel and you are a U.S. citizen when you're doing that. However, when you are traveling from Colorado state to New Mexico state and you have all clear records of who you are, that you're not a participant in that particular organization, and everyone is on the same page, then there's no problems. No one ever has any problems. You don't hear about those stories because they don't exist in, well, they don't ever exist in problems. And you only hear the stories about the problems with people that have problems. So you guys, this is a matter of just being in honor with people. Like, we're not giving notice. And then when we do, we're not taught really who we are. So we don't know how to go and give people notice of who we are because, well, we're not who we say we are. We're not who they say we are. We don't even know. See, that's the most confusing part is people don't understand. They don't comprehend who they are. They don't know where they come from. And, you know, because of that, they just assume other people's stuff. And they keep, like, saying, okay, well, I'm this, and no, I'm this, no, I'm this. Well, if this doesn't work, then I'm this. And they just keep trying stuff that works to get what they want here. But it has nothing to do with physical stuff. It has everything to do with really knowing yourself inside. So let's keep going. So Georgia, for example, can't prevent one of its residents from traveling to California is what he's going to say.
for example, can't prevent one of its residents from traveling to California, and vice versa.
So he's saying the states can't prevent the citizens from traveling from one state to another. Now, here's where he's going to throw the wedge in it for everybody that's going to make them disappointed.
But what this right does not have anything to do with is the mode of travel.
Okay, mode. Now he's talking legal. Mode. Okay? So the mode that they're bringing you into court in is that of a U.S. citizen. So when you become a member of a company, the mode that they move on is determined by what you have provided to them before that encounter, okay? So in other words, when I become a member of the gym, the relationship that, or the outcome, should I say, or should I say the involvement of any contract that begins while I'm at the gym and any subsequent contract. So now I become a member of the gym, and now they say, well, if you want to go get, if you want to go sit sun tanning, then it's going to be another $10 a month. So I engage in another additional contract in addition to that. And so that mode makes you into that like pattern. Okay, so now you're agreeing to something that fits along a certain mode. That's what he's talking about, all right? We're not talking about that mode though, okay? Because there is a private way to travel giving notice when you're not traveling in a military zone. And that's what he's in the military zone. You don't want to be there.
So you have a fundamental right to travel interstate, but you do not have a fundamental right to travel interstate specifically by airplane, car, train, or boat.
He's trying to say you don't. He's right. According to the definition, you don't. But a private civilian would, because a private civilian can determine and distinguish their rights based upon who they are. They already know. Someone that doesn't would be told that they need to travel a certain way, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. You guys got to take this out and just like, sometimes we don't realize it, but take yourself out into the middle of nowhere, okay? Go out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert or the middle of the woods, okay? And then go think about doing something. I want to maybe, I don't know, just think of something that you want to do. Maybe go have a beer and walk down the street. I don't know. I don't drink beer anymore, but maybe you want to. So maybe you want to drink beer and you know that you get arrested in your town. Well, you go to a place where there's no people at. Who's going to arrest you? Who cares if you walk across the street? Who cares if you're up past midnight? Nobody cares. It's only the people that make rules inside of that box that you jumped inside of. So don't be in the box. And, you know, because you live in a certain area doesn't mean you agree to a certain set of rules. That just is the craziest thing ever. So you guys just have to learn to discern and navigate between these.
And your fundamental right to interstate travel has nothing to do with intrastate travel.
So now he's talking about inside the state, traveling inside the state, because now he's trying to say now you're in the state of whatever, which is a military zone. So you can't say where you want to travel when you're in the military zone. He's absolutely right. But he's not talking about the private.
Which is travel within a single state.
See, a single state is, he's talking about state of, not blank state.
And states are allowed to pass any law that they...
States are corporations, and they're allowed to pass any corporate law that they want.
They see fit in any areas where the federal government has not passed its own laws or otherwise prohibited state action on that area.
District of Columbia, in other words.
Now that comes from the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And in Colorado, where I practice, the state legislature has done so in the area of requiring a driver's license by passing a law which mandates that any individuals operating a motor vehicle on public highways and roads in this state have a license.
Okay, so except as otherwise provided in Part 4, no person. So you got to go look up the definition of person. Then you got to look up the definition of drive. Then you got to look up the definition of motor vehicle. Then you got to look up the definition of highway. And then you got to look at definition of state, because it's a state of Colorado. That's what he just said. It's not Colorado State. And I'm not telling you guys, like, go make this argument. I'm telling you to go learn the rules. Unless the person has been issued a currently valid driver's license, right? Okay, now you got permission to do something that would otherwise be considered illegal. So they just made something illegal unless you go and get their membership. So that is, well, there's a case called Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. You guys can go check it up. Okay, so let's keep moving. This is Colorado Revised Statute 42-2-101. And this is what I've also talked about, because the oaths of office is 124-12-101. And they changed that in 2018 so that all the attorneys' licenses in the state of Colorado would match the requirements of the legislature, because none of them before 2018 did. They all had these oaths that said, I do solemnly, and they removed swear by the ever-living God. So they removed, what they did is when they got caught in 2018, they changed the legislature through House Bill 18-1138, and they went and made all of the prior oaths of office that didn't have swear by the ever-living God on them. They changed the new legislation to be able to remove that, and to swear, affirm, or swear by the ever-living God. And now the ones that never complied with the original statutory requirement before 2018, all of their oaths now look like they were required and they were now complying. Now, I also have documentation on this. And again, this is not directed at this man or anyone else. This man has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here, guys. Please, this is not like anything personal towards anybody. And maybe I should just pull this down for right now. You know, this has to do with a case that I dealt with in Larimer County. And I'll show you guys, like I can show you here. I want to do, I'll do another one. We'll have to do another discussion on this, because I've got some other things that I want to talk to you guys about. And the things that are happening in Colorado are happening all over the United States. They have been for a long time. And so you guys are going to, you're going to learn a lot more that, I thought, these people were doing something for us in these offices, and I had a lot of confidence in that. And then when I found out about the oath of office thing in 2018, and created the federal case that I talked about in my other video, then that stuff was really alarming. It was really alerting, and like, it's crazy because I never expected, like, all this stuff is not real. Like, wait, nobody has an oath and we're in a bankruptcy, and it's just like they're just operating this thing like not a government at all. Wait a second. So you start to learn things about that when you guys realize that these things have happened because people fell asleep. They just became lazy. And I mean, how can you blame them? It's really hard to blame people to be lazy when you're creating all these distractions and making them get up and move, and like, people are displaced consistently because of these things. It's not fair, not a good thing. And so we have to come to terms and come to reason with this stuff and know that we can change it, but you guys have to become aware of it first. You have to know what, like, your 2 generations before you did not do and why they didn't do it. Like, some of the stuff was really primitive and they just evolved it into like modern times, guys. See, most people don't realize that things were not super complicated. Well, I would say in the early 1900s, they were like super primitive. Like, people thought it was primitive, but they were bringing new inventions. Look at all the new inventions. You guys, look, it was all stuff that people thought of before like 1890, and all the new inventions were hoarded and put away. And then when there were things that happened, they were all brought back online. When everything came back online in 1901, 1902, they went and like started putting this stuff out. Like, here's all these new inventions. Hey, we got all this new stuff. It's funny because Benjamin Franklin had all these new inventions, like, and the guy was not smart. Like, there's records that he was not a smart man, but yet all these people are put into positions to take all this credit for these things, and they were invented by other people. So other jealous people take the ideas, and this is another reason, guys, why the difference between private and public. You guys know you have to go to an attorney to get a patent or something like that. I mean, you can go and do your own stuff, but for the most part, that's what they do, right? And like, those patents belong to the corporation. So you're giving an idea away to a corporation that you belong to so that they can determine what the best use for that is. And I know this because I created something in like 2007, I believe it was. It was called a utilerator, and there's records on it somewhere. I don't even know where it is right now, but there's records on it somewhere on an invention that I created in Arizona, where it would regulate the utilities, and you could literally on your phone, when if a pipe burst at your house, you could go and it would tell you like, hey, you got a pipe burst, and you could shut the water off just by that action. You could also control like how much someone used the hot water, because my nephew used to use all the hot water, and I never had any hot water to shower in. So those things were created, and I gave it to them. So what happened was they took the idea, and then they said, oh, we can't do anything with it. And then this company acted like they were going to do stuff with it, and no one ever did anything with it. And it said, okay, do you want to renew this? You got to pay $4,500 more. Otherwise, you just forfeit the idea to us. And that's it. It's gone. See ya. So they take everything. It's just abandoned stuff. We don't know. You don't have to go and you don't have to go and register something with a company. You just got to go give your own notice, and you got to know how to do that. So let's go back to this, and we'll talk about this again.
That's set forth in Title 42, Article 2, Part 1 of the Colorado Revised Statutes.
United States citizens.
It's CRS 42-101.
And state citizens.
Belief number 2,
Citizens of
that
the state
American
of
courts are
Colorado.
operating under admiralty law. Sovereign citizens argue that courthouses in America operate under admiralty law, which is the law of the sea and international commerce, and that therefore they lack jurisdiction over these individuals. Well, jurisdiction is the power of a court to hear and decide cases involving violations of the substantive criminal law, and to impose punishment upon conviction. Now, their argument is that at some point in the past, it's Unclear exactly which point. They have different arguments about this. But their argument is that at some point, popular sovereignty, which is the sovereignty which is vested in citizens of a country rather than a monarch, that sovereignty was abandoned in favor of admiralty law. In support of this, sovereigns point to the fact that many courthouses in America fly a United States flag which has gold fringes on it.
That's true.
Which they argue is somehow evidence of maritime jurisdiction.
Nope, it's a captured flag.
Now, the supreme and superseding law in American courts comes from the United States Constitution and the decisions made by the United States Supreme Court interpreting the Constitution.
Okay.
Other laws passed by Congress and the states are passed.
Let's go here to Constitution. Okay. So a constitution is a debt. A constitutor is one who passes a debt to another. So all of the people that signed the Constitution were passing a debt to all the people that wanted to become members of the organization that was in the business of sponsoring debt. So we all go and grab something and we're like, hey, yeah, here's mine. Where's mine? And we go get our little debt paperwork. And that's how we become members.
Under the authority granted.
So there's two authorities that Congress granted. There's a private and there's a public.
To these bodies by the U.S. Constitution. And that has been the case in this country since the Constitution was ratified in 1788. It has never been abandoned. Gold fringes on American flags is a feature that the Army added in 1835 to the American flags that it flies. Other military units and government
when they captured them
also frequently fly flags with that feature as well.
When they captured them. They're military, so it's military flags. It's military flags. That's what it is. So he just said it. Let's go back right here. Let's go back. Okay. Other military units and governments also frequently fly flags with that feature.
Military units and governments also frequently fly flags with that feature as well.
It's decoration. So that he's saying, you're in the military. Thank you.
Decoration. There are no cases attributing any kind of legal significance to the fringes on a flag.
Because there are no cases doesn't mean there are no facts, okay? Those fringes on a flag are placed on a captured flag in military jurisdiction. So it is a peacetime that's been put under a military jurisdiction, and it is a military flag belonging to that military.
In an American courthouse, and lawsuits filed on this basis have been deemed as frivolous.
You can't go to a corporation and say, hey, your symbol that you use in your business, we don't like it, and the corporation is going to say, get out of here, go away. We're not even entertaining that. Those judges work for a company. That's it, period. It's not about law, guys. They do have a parallel system that does that, but what they're talking about when they send you stuff in the mail, it's not about this. And until you start learning about private, you won't know what I'm talking about.
Belief number 3. There is some distinction between a person's corporate self and their individual self.
Okay, so corporate and individual are the same name. Okay, so when he says corporate self and individual self, the words corporate and individual are the same word. So he's starting that off as it being the same thing and saying, well, it doesn't really matter. So listen.
Sovereign citizens argue that Americans are given a corporate identity when they're born.
Americans, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a fair.
And that this is a distinct and different identity from their true identity.
Well, and that could be true, but most people don't have anything showing that there is anything distinct and different. So that is their identity. So you can't say that. You can't say it's different than my other thing that I never created. So, yeah, it is like that until that. I mean, it's logic, guys.
As evidence for this, they point to the use of all capital letters by hospitals and state agencies.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to show you guys something here because I had this earlier. Let me find it. All right, I got to get out of this. What did I think I downloaded it today. Oh, maybe I didn't. Hang on just a second. Oops, I didn't mean to show you guys like all my personal stuff there. I'm just kidding. Give me just a second here. saved. Let's see. I got to go. Okay. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. So I'm going to have to save that for another. Oh, no, wait. Here it is. Here it is right here. Okay. So let's go over here really fast. Actually, let me go stop sharing on this. And then I'm going to go back to sharing on that other one. Okay, give me just a second. My gosh, this is so confusing, guys. If you guys could see my screens and stuff. Okay, so let's go to, I don't want to do a video file. I want to do a share a screen. Okay, so let's go share the screen here, another screen, a different one. And this one I can share without doing anything to. And let me make it larger for you guys. All right, so let's look at this. Let's go to this. All right, so let's go. We're going to listen to the guy's video really fast. Or, no, I don't know if you guys can be able to hear that. But anyway, I want to take you down here. This is the United States Government Printing Office style manual from the year 2000. It's under the authority of 44 U.S.C. 1105, okay? Straight from Washington, D.C., all right? So, capitalization rules. It is possible that rules will cover every conceivable problem. Proper names, here it shows exactly, R-O-M-E. See, upper, lower case. Derivatives of proper names, Roman, of Rome, okay? Then you go down here. Derivatives, and you look at like different words that show different things. Keep moving down. Names of vessels are quoted in matter. Thinking of the Lusitania. Do you see how it's lower case? Okay. You see how this is lower than the rest of everything else. Okay. This is lower than this. Okay. These are all caps. Smith versus Brown. This is the way that they're doing the headings for you guys on the legal cases. Okay. In matter, set in italic. Legal cases are set in Roman with V being set Roman. You see this? It's telling you it's Roman right there. This is Roman. Okay. CUSGPO, Government Printing Style Manual, Chapter 19, Congressional Record, Use of Caps and Small Caps. You guys can go and find more research on this. The Government Printing Style Manual, abbreviations, acronyms. Look at AIDS. It's their acronyms, guys. These are all it's their stuff, okay? This is how they copyright stuff. This is all their copyrighted stuff. Now, here's what I want you to see. The state of Colorado is CO, all right? This is how you become in a federal zone, by using this abbreviation. This is not Colorado State, all right? This is the state of Colorado, which is a corporation. So you're using the state, province, and freely associated abbreviations to be part of that. And you're opting into the military jurisdiction by doing that, okay? So the use of caps and small caps, the Speaker of the House, see Mr. Largent, see these are all entities. You guys see that? The United States must be spelled out when appearing in a sentence containing the name of another country. The U.S. will be used when preceding the word government or the name government organization except in formal writing. You can see the Blue Book of Citation, T10. Okay, so there is your proof that this is all Roman English, all right? You don't need any more proof than that. It is what it is. I mean, you don't need to see any more than that. Like, that's it. Let's go back to the entire screen here. I'm going to share this with you again. Oops, that's the wrong screen. Now we're going to share it. Okay, and I got to give you audio too. Except it doesn't want to let me. There we go. All right. So let's keep going here.
When spelling out a person's name on official forms such as birth certificates, driver's license forms, and court documents. They argue that their true flesh and blood identity is different from this because it includes lowercase letters. And when they're prosecuted in court, sovereign citizens argue that the prosecution is being conducted against their corporate identity and not their true individual identity. Now, simply put, the laws in this country do not recognize corporate identities for individual persons. There is a requirement that prosecutors prove the identity of the person they've accused.
It said the laws don't accept. Okay, well, that just means their laws don't accept that. doesn't mean that it's not recognized. It means that their company doesn't recognize it because their membership says it. We don't recognize this. So anytime your membership says you don't recognize it, you don't recognize it. It's really simple. It's not that hard.
Accused of a crime at trial, but this doesn't require navigating through old birth records and checking the capitalization and font size of someone's name. It's normally just done by simply having a witness point to the person in court and identify them by an article of clothing.
Yeah, so that's presumptive. It's presumption, yeah. So what they're doing is the state is bringing in the state's name, and they're looking for someone who has claimed responsibility for that name to presume the liability for it and to become the one responsible for it. That's all. It's simple. He's right.
So what are the consequences then of making these arguments in court?
What are the consequences of not being a compliant United States citizen? It's what are the consequences of signing up for a membership and then saying that you don't know anything about what you just signed up for? I mean, what are the consequences? I mean, it is equitable. They're bringing people in equity because they're saying you agreed to this contract and now you're disrespecting it. And now you just dishonored us and everything else, and you're continuing to dishonor us. So they bring you in contempt. They can't throw you in debtor's prison because it doesn't exist, but they can create a trust and say you're in contempt of trust, which is, when you guys learn this, it's really not you because your wishes are not what's happening.
Well, I've seen a lot of people over the years come in and out of courtrooms and make these arguments, and they're always unsuccessful.
Yeah, because they're going in. You can't go in McDonald's and tell them that Burger King made the wrong Whopper. Burger King screwed up the Whopper. Ronald doesn't give two rats rear ends, okay, about whether Burger King made your Whopper wrong or not, or whatever it is. It just, like I said, no one cares. It's a private company, and someone brings their own stuff from that, and they're like, no, I don't like the way this happened over here. Well, go somewhere else with that. That has nothing to do with us. You have an agreement with us, and we're going through with that agreement, and like, move aside. And again, you guys are in military. He just said it. So, like, he's being honest. Everything he said has been true, except a couple of things have been twisted, which he's an attorney. So he's doing his job. Good job.
And the issue isn't just that these arguments don't work. Criminal courts are an adversarial proceeding.
Yep, they are, which is why the Bible says, agree with thine adversary quickly. So when you have a proceeding that is adversarial, then what are you doing there arguing when your scripture says, agree with thine adversary quickly? No, I didn't do this. Do what? You don't even know what you're there for. So, yeah, you should be agreeing with people.
And someone loses in every single criminal trial. There are plenty of arguments made in cases in court that don't work. But when people adopt the sovereign citizen view, they make their situation much worse than it would otherwise be.
Okay, so what he said is, when people adopt an ideology that they don't know anything about and then try to claim something that they're not, then it doesn't turn out good. That's it. It's really simple, guys. He's right.
Sovereigns sit in jail, unable to post bond because they won't sign a protection order.
Sovereigns sit in jail, unable to post bond because they don't know who they are, okay? Sovereigns are not sovereigns if they're sitting in jail, all right? Now he's misusing that word. Sovereigns don't sit in jail. Sovereigns don't go to jail because sovereigns are sovereign. But sovereign citizens, people that are members of a gym and then they want to say that the gym sucks, are going to get penalized, okay? And, well, what do they need a protection order for? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's another contract. Somebody, like, it doesn't make sense. See, this is where it starts to get convoluted, and I don't agree. But we'll keep going.
They violate court orders and end up getting sanctioned for contempt of court.
That's true. They violate court orders. A violation of a court order is an agreement of a contract that is breached, okay? A breach of an agreement of a contract. A violation of a court order is a breach of a contract, an agreement. But why are these people even agreeing to stuff that they don't even know what it is? That's what you got to figure out.
And they forgo legitimate defenses to their cases in order to spew conspiracy theories.
A lot of them aren't conspiracy theories. They are theories that they can't complete, and therefore they accuse them of conspiring. That's what it is. Again, this is like, you guys can do whatever you want. You just got to know who you got to notify before, and that's being taught equity. That's being taught be honorable, and no one's taught to be honorable. No one's taught, like, respect your neighbor, you know, give notice. Nobody's taught, like, you know, be equitable, like make the things balanced. If you screw somebody over, you know, compensate them for what you do. Like, no one teaches that because, well, that's not good for commerce, and it's not good for pirates at sea.
That cause jurors overseeing their trial to roll their eyes and then convict them.
The jurors are all U.S. citizens, guys, okay? Every single juror in that box has to be a U.S. citizen, which is the only reason that you're in the position you're in is because you're a U.S. citizen, because you don't know what your rules are. And these people are 12 more people that are part of the company that don't know what their rules are either. And so how are you going to get a fair trial from a bunch of people that think that, you know, you're in the membership of this group and they are too, and that you're breaking the members' rules? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Now, nothing that I'm saying is going to matter to the sovereign citizens who are posting articles online and citing to the Magna Carta.
Okay, so that's quite a wide spectrum there. People posting articles online, and then those citing the Magna Carta. Magna Carta just happens to be the origin of the Constitution itself, and these people don't like the Constitution because it can make them do things if you know what you're doing, and so they don't like to be having to follow that. I'm proof of that because, listen, when I was incarcerated, I had somebody print and mail me the Constitution for the state of Colorado, and it was mailed to me, and the attorney goes, "Where'd you get that? How'd you get that? Where'd you get that from?" And they wanted to know, like, where I got it from. And I had the two versions where they changed the rules in the legislation, which showed exactly what they had done. They don't want people to know what they're doing, but they're doing all this janky stuff behind the scenes. That's what these people are trained to do. They're trained to be in casuistry.
But I would appeal to those who have read those articles and are wondering if they should be making an argument about their right to travel at their next speeding ticket hearing. If you want to know what the law actually is, start here.
Nope.
Read the statute that you're charged with.
Statute is Roman code, guys. It's statute. Title 18 is criminal code. Code. Roman code. We're not in Rome. Oh, maybe we are. Maybe I missed that memo. I did miss it because clearly I've been using Caesar's stuff.
And the cases that interpret it. At the end of the day, that's all lawyers really do. It'll show you what the DA has to prove in order to convict you at trial. It'll give you an idea of what your defense might be. And it also happens to be the same book that your judge will be reading, which will get you a lot further than making an issue about your name having
just what I want to read is the same book that the judge is reading.
Lowercase letters in it.
See, they're trying to deter people from making an argument about.
My name is Austin Lux. I'm a criminal defense attorney.
You're awesome, man.
I practice in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
You guys,
and I want you to know your rights and the law.
Listen, I tell you guys, if you need help, then call this guy. Call this dude, Andrew Lux, if you guys need any help. I mean, he's honest. I'm telling you, like, what he put out here, I showed you guys what was true. I showed you that he wasn't lying. There were a couple of words and things that he did a turn. And a turning is totally okay because that's what they do in that fictional world. That's what that is. It's color of law. And so, yeah, call the guy if you guys need any help. The Lux Law Firm. And he's got a cool symbol too, man. You know, if I ever needed any help, I might call him. I mean, he's seems like a nice guy. But I want you guys to know that, like, not everything is, you shouldn't be fearful of stuff. And my point is not to go and encourage anybody to go and do things that are not lawful. You know, I had struggles in my life where I didn't really know the difference in what I was doing and how I was harming people because I didn't even realize what I was doing. And because I mean, we're taught things, we're taught certain things, but you have people that you follow, and sometimes people don't do the right things always. And when you follow the wrong things, well, it can cause problems. And so I'm saying everyone needs to do the right thing. You guys should all do the right things, but we have to use discern and wisdom when we're making these decisions, when we are coming forward and creating these agreements with people that have adhesions to them that we don't know about. We need to become privy to them. And, well, before we do anything, we need to know and be aware of what they are. So if we can change that paradigm, if we can make it so that there's awareness that exists before we engage in any of these contracts, having full informed consent and having full lawful consideration in all these contracts, then we can make sure that we are protected. And some of you may be better off, as I said, in a situation where you are in a public charitable trust. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. Like, if you guys find that you're comfortable there, then fine. No one's going to tell you can't go there. There are some people that do belong there. But if you feel like you do not belong in that position, then, we're saying just study. Go learn more. So if you guys have any questions, you can check us out. We're on lonewolfpack.net. You can come to the Telegram where, we have consistent conversations going on there. lonewolfpack.net. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please do leave comments in the section. This is a pre-recorded video, not much longer before, but today I did do a pre-recorded. So you guys have an amazing day. I send you much love and energy. I appreciate you very much, and we'll see you on next week. I yield.